differences between the other similar kind of things available. So that is, this particular kind of critical thing is done by the beta wave that we are talking of. And basically, as I said, it is important for focus, for critical attention, and for example, solving a mathematics problem. So this wave comes into picture when you start solving a mathematical problem, or in other words, focus on anything. Then this wave starts coming. Important thing is that the emotions that are associated with this particular thing. The interesting part is that once you have this wave is associated with stress and anxiety. And therefore, if all the time the human race, once it is awake, is living in this beta kind of activity, then all the time it is stressed and anxious. This comes naturally. So that is the problem with this particular wave. While it is very important for critically analyzing things, for linearly analyzing things, therefore you might think that many of the scientists are some of the most sad people around in the world, because they are used to a kind of linear thinking, and once you do this linear thinking, you remain more and more in this particular phase, you become anxious and you become stress prone. And this particular voice can be called a nagging voice actually, which becomes louder and louder as you progress, become more linear and linear. And when is it present? As I said, it is always present in when you are awake, focused at certain thing, but there are certain kinds of meditation where this wave can also be produced. Now, very important thing. As I said, beta wave is important for critical reasoning. So for solving a maths problem, it is very important. But for getting it into your mental consciousness, if you do something, so if, for example, if you watch us do a calculation, if you calculate something, plan something, it will go into your memory only when it is coupled with another wave, which is the gamma wave. Unless it is coupled with the gamma wave, you cannot get into your whole being, it cannot be integrated with the human mind. And therefore, this coupling is the most important thing that has to happen if this wave is to be used. And therefore, if linear thinking is to be used for future, it has to be coupled with the gamma wave. Then coming to the second wave, which is the alpha wave, this is the deep relaxation wave or the voice of intuition. Now, what is this? Actually, this is associated with restful wakeness. So again, it is a wave of the wakefulness, but it is associated with restful wakefulness, where the mind roams around. It is free for free associations, and you can see that the frequency has gone down a little bit, 7.5 to 14, and you can see that this is actually the ideal time where you can prime your mind for success. This is the wave where you can integrate with whatever is there you can use the outside environment and integrate that information with inner inside of the mind, and then you can come out with solutions. So this is a wave of deep intuition for getting solutions, and that is why it is very, very important for anybody to have a intuitive kind of reasoning. Again, very important thing. The important thing is that this intuition, this thinking, that this kind of intuitive thinking can become reality only when this particular wave is coupled with the gamma wave. And I will come to this gamma wave later, because I thought this is the most important wave that one should be aware of. But again, alpha wave, intuitions, etc. will become reality only if they get coupled with gamma wave. And when is the alpha wave present? So there are several reasons where it can be present. When you are going into sleep from wakefulness, the later part of the wakefulness, just ending before sleep, is the region where this alpha waves are present. They are also present in meditation and in many other activities actually, like music, arts, for example, when you are looking at art, when you are listening to music, and various other we call relaxing activities is where when mind goes into the alpha kind of phase. But they can also be acquired by certain drugs, particularly cannabis and some other kind of psychotropic drugs also can lead to this development of this kind of wave. Important thing about this wave is the emotional aspect. Like I said in beta, the emotional aspect is stress and anxiety. Here, the beautiful part is that it is associated with beauty, love, and feeling of oneness. So you become one with the whole environment and everything, and therefore, it gives you a deep relaxation, and that is how this particular wave works. Now, coming to the third wave that I'm discussing, the theta wave, again notice that the frequency is reduced a little bit. It is the silent voice. It is something which is present only in sleep for majority of the people, and you cannot have it in wakeful state, but it is a kind of early stages of sleep where you can be easily aroused. And there are two parts to it. One is just a sleep, light sleep, and the second part is REM sleep, which is the dream causing sleep, which appears in this phase of activity as well. Now, important thing is that this particular wave is very important for learning. So anything which comes in at this stage can become a part of learning very easily. So if you have, 15 stimuluses in beta activity, or if you have 100 stimuluses in beta activity, from them to become your personality trait, or from them to learn a lesson, and from them to take an action, it will take 100, for example, beta activities to make one action. On the other hand, if you take 10 alpha activities, learning is much faster, and therefore even 10 activities can become action. But if in theta phase, only one activity can become action. So that is how, anything that is thought here can become translated into action very, very easily in later life. So therefore it is a way of learning and memory. Now, very interesting part is this theta alpha threshold. So when you go into sleep from alpha to theta stage, there comes just before entering the theta stage or early part of theta stage, where you can see the frequency is about 7.57 to 8 hertz. At that particular point of time, the intuition combines with deeper mind. So the intuition becomes, something which uses the energy of subconscious mind, and then it gives a profound effect. And therefore, many artists, when they produce their art, their major art, or many scientists, when they think out of some major theory, it is at this level that they combine, logic into intuition, into subconscious mind, and come out with something really world-changing, because at this particular stage. So I think this stage is important, and this happens in everybody. As I said, for profound learning, healing, and growth, it is very, very important. But again, this theta activity can be integrated into mind only when the gamma waves are also present. So gamma waves are very, very important for making anything produced in theta waves of a substantial value to the human mind in later stages. So this theta gamma coupling is very, very important. So now coming to the theta wave, when is the theta wave present? As I said, in light sleep and in REM sleep it is present. It is also a state associated with some kinds of hypnosis. When we do hypnosis, person seems to be in a light sleep, and that is the state where theta waves are predominantly present. It can also be present in deep meditation, and as I said, theta alpha interface is also can happen when person is hallucinating. So hallucinations can also be produced. That is why a scientist may think of a theory which he cannot think of it linearly. Why he thought of this theory? He thinks maybe I hallucinated at that point of time and came out with that theory, and it comes up like eureka! Oh, I found the answer. This is it. And this is that particular region where this particular thing happens. And again, because it is predominantly associated with learning, it is present in child, for very example. So child, for example, as they are born, they are mostly in gamma or theta stage. As they grow older, after 2 years of age, they start having theta activity. Then after 8-9 years of age, they start having alpha activity. And once they are fully mature, after 18 years of age, they live predominantly in beta activity, like all of us are doing now, because we are more than 80 years of age. Most of the waking time we spend, or most of our lives we spend in beta activity now. But in the child, it is the reverse, and therefore we know this particular fact that in child the learning is much easier compared to an adult, where you require 100 mistakes to learn a small thing, whereas a child will learn with a simple thing, because child is predominantly in either a theta phase or even or an alpha phase, that kind of thing. Now coming to the last phase, which is the delta wave, which is in sequence described as that, but I'm describing second as the deep sleep. Now this is a very important phase as well, because, and I will come to that later, because it's very important for clearing up the mind to make it fresh for the fresh activities. And once this particular phase is affected, many diseases come up, especially diabetes mellitus and some other kind of diseases, which I will just enumerate to you. its absence is detrimental to health actually. And delta again is even more profoundly associated with learning. Although you will imagine, because the mind is not in mental consciousness stage, that particular learning may not be very conscious. It would be a subconscious or even unconscious kind of learning in this particular phase of mind. And when it is present, as I said, deep sleep is one, but certain meditative states, such as Yog Nidra, for example, described in in Hindu kind of yoga practices, is the one which is associated with this kind of phase, where this mind actually slows down to such an extent that it produces very low frequency at that point of time. Also, it can be associated with samadhi, and then in certain diseases like coma and delirium, particularly in coma, this particular phase can be found. Important part is that if this delta wave is absent, there can be many diseases, and as I said, absence or disruptions of this are found in coma and delirium, and even intoxications. When they go beyond that alpha stage, they can end up into delta phase, and then it can cause serious problems at that particular point of time. They are also associated with mental diseases like absence of them. So remember, they are good things. If they are absent, then it can lead to dementia, schizophrenia, and Parkinsonism, and also acquired diseases, as I said, diabetes, and even coma. And sleepwalking and sleep talking are some things which are present in this particular phase, which then they are more. So most of the diseases are caused by lack of delta waves, and some diseases are caused by focal appearance of these waves, and sleepwalking and is one of them. Now coming to the last wave that I am describing, which is the fastest wave actually, which is 30 to 70 hertz. This is the gamma wave, and this is the voice of alert consciousness. So this is the voice of mind consciousness. So if you have a mindful consciousness of something, so as I said, there are many levels of consciousness. First is mind consciousness, then self consciousness, mankind consciousness. But for mind consciousness, this particular wave is critical, because this wave, unless it is coupled by any other wave, actually will not translate. What this particular wave does is it takes that particular activity of a gamma wave, integrates it with the mind, and then it becomes a part of the mind. So anything you think of, you can use only when gamma wave comes, integrates it with the mind, and so the next time when you face with similar problem, you already have thought about it and you can take appropriate action. So that is how this gamma wave works. And also the emotional part of gamma waves are very, very important. Unlike beta activity, where it causes loss of stress and anxiety, here actually it causes empathy, compassion, and that is the important part. Empathy and compassion comes with the gamma waves, and because what you do is with this particular kind of wave, once this happens, you clearly identify the environment. You see how this environment is panning on your own self, and then you interconnect your whole self with the whole universe, and therefore you get an empathy or understanding for everything that is possible. And empathy is kind of understanding or sympathy. So please tell me whenever to stop, because I can go on and on. Okay, so the second thing is this: how does this particular wave does that? What it does is the binding problem. There are two types of things. When a stimulus comes, whenever an external stimulus comes, the mind breaks it into individual parts. So if you see, for example, the lady in the front, I see a yellow coat. So what my mind does, it compartmentalizes it into color. Okay, yellow. Then it compartmentalizes it according to structure. Okay, this kind of structure. And the gentleman is wearing a tie, so another compartmentalization is there. Then that is one part. And second is then the mind again reintegrates and forms the whole thing. And then this whole thing, once it is formed, then integrates with my mind. Then therefore I realizes, okay, this particular thing is this, and it is separate from my body, and this is how I have an interaction with this particular thing. So this whole process is the binding problem. So there is, as I said, first thing is information, some information coming, and then this information broken down and then reintegrated into a knowledge. And then this knowledge, once this knowledge is integrated into my model of mind, then it becomes wisdom. So the whole information is broken into first step components, reintegrated into knowledge, integrated with myself, where I can distinguish it from away from myself, and I can understand the relation between that outside environment and myself, and that then becomes a part of wisdom. So I think in short, that is what is a gamma wave, and it is present, as I said, whenever whenever you want to integrate it with mind, whenever you think of anything you remember, any activity that you remember in conscious mind is to be happen only when it is coupled with a gamma wave. Except there are certain people who even integrate this activity when they are so-called sleep, where they cannot react to the environment, but they are aware of the environment even in their sleep, and even in the gamma wave they may be aware of their environment, even in delta wave they are aware of that environment, and that is the meditation. Where despite the fact that you are in the gamma wave, you are coupling a lot with the, even if you are in the delta or theta wave, you are coupling with the gamma wave, and therefore you remember yourself with that particular activity at that point of time. Consciousness, I think we just discussed, so I will just skip from that. Now, what I will discuss with you is a very important point, I think, how actually we perceive any kind of information. So what happens is, we have these 5 sensory senses in our body. Out of them, the visual sense is the most important sense, we know that. Now, all the information that we receive from the sense passes into something kind of buffer. So we may be seeing 100 things, we may be seeing one light there, one book there, one water bottle there, but my focus is not on this water bottle or in that light or on that door, which is already there, which I'm observing, but I'm not focusing. I'm focusing on something, I'm focusing on delivering my lecture, but these things are still there. So this information is coming to the brain, but the brain is recognizing that, okay, this information is not important, it is only processing certain information, it is allowing only 1% of information to pass into my brain, and that is that buffer that is doing that, and that information is passing into my subconscious mind, where I'm emotionally reacting to it. So subconscious mind is the emotional mind, where I'm responding to it, happy emotion, bad emotion, something, and also passing into the conscious mind, where I'm calculating, okay, this is 1%, this is 5%, these persons are talking to each other. All this linear information is processed by the conscious mind. So there is a process which is processing the emotions and which is processing the linear information, and then it is integrating and putting into memory banks. So as I said, only 1% of thing goes into memory banks, but what happens then? This memory bank, it is stored there for some time, and it is then integrated into the body, and then it becomes the wisdom. So it changes how I am every second, because the new information that comes integrates into my mind, and my mind changes a little bit, and my awareness of myself changes, and actually I have changed myself every minute, because the new information that comes makes me change my mind. My model of myself changes a little bit with every coming information. So that is what happens in awake state. But as I said, 99% of information is blocked at the buffer level. Now what happens when you sleep? And I think that is the importance of sleep. Once you sleep, then this information is actually relayed back again to the sensory organs, and again then it goes back to the buffer, and that is what is dream. So in the dream, you throw back the information back into the sensory organs, from the sensory organs back into the buffer, and then again there's a second opportunity to realize something you missed during your waking hour, which was important but you missed. Then you get another opportunity to integrate this information into your whole body by passing through subconscious, conscious mind, and going to memory banks. Second thing that happens in sleep is that this memory bank throws up something new into the buffer, into the sensory organs, and therefore you get repeated dreams sometimes, because something is there in memory bank which is not integrated nicely with the whole body, and therefore this information comes back, goes to buffer, goes to the sensory organs, comes back to buffer, comes back to subconscious, conscious, and comes back to the memory bank. Ultimately,